Investigators shared today the DNA from the gloves found near Nancy Guthrie's home does not match anyone in the FBA database.
Yeah, we, like so many others, are following every development and detail and update that comes from this investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. One detail that we wanted to discuss with our medical expert, Dr. Kohli, is this attempt to find a signal from Nancy's pacemaker. I know you could do that.
I know. So Dr. Kohli, what is a pacemaker and what does it do?
So think about our heart like you think about your house. You know how it has electrical cables running in the walls, and it has a generator that generates the electricity. So the heart is beating all the time. It needs its own electricity as well. So if the cables go down or the generator goes down of the heart, then you need a pacemaker as a backup. So we don't know why Nancy Guthrie got the pacemaker, but it's essentially a backup policy for anyone whose cables aren't working the way that they're supposed to. And the way that it's put in, it's about the size of, maybe a dollar coin. It goes in under the skin here, and they tunnel a wire into the heart, and that wire actually sits inside the heart, generates those electrical impulses, and causes the heart to beat.
Does it send out a signal? Is this something like a GPS signal that you can track?
So it sends signals, Alex, but it's not a GPS signal. So essentially what you do, and what I get on all my patients who have pacemakers, is they get a download, usually every day. So it has a receiver, so it's transmitting the signal to the receiver. Now they said in Nancy Guthrie's case, an Apple iPhone app on her phone that receives her signal, then transmits it to a cell tower, and then sends it to your doctor's office. So it uses that sort of receiver to transmit the signal, but it doesn't have a GPS in and of itself. So if it loses its connection to that transmitter, all you can get is the last time that it pinged a cell tower and where that was. And that was that 2 a.m. that they said when her cell phone essentially stopped communicating.
That is fascinating. I know so many people are invested in the story, as are we. It's just such a tragic story. What would happen if, like, the patient's pacemaker stopped working?
So we worry about this, but it really depends on why she has the pacemaker. So if she's dependent on the pacemaker, then if the pacemaker stops, your heart stops because you're not generating the heartbeat, and that's end of life. But if she's not dependent on it, it's just a backup because once in a while her cables run a little slow or her generator runs a little slow, then it's possible she could still be fine even if the pacemaker is not working. Now, having said that, pacemakers are sort of indestructible. So when you go into the MRI magnet, for example, they put a magnet on your pacemaker to sort of put it in default mode so that it keeps running. In fact, when I was in medical school, I had this unfortunate case of a patient that passed away, but their pacemaker was still working.
Wow.
Because the pacemaker just detects, oh, the heart's not beating on its own, so let me send the impulse. And so in order to actually declare the patient dead, we had to turn off the pacemaker. So the pacemaker can keep going even after the patient has passed away.
Interesting.
All right, Dr. Kohli, unfortunately we're out of time because this really is fascinating, but thank you for just giving us a little bit of insight there. It makes a little more sense now for sure.